Yeah, so where we're heading to, the place is called Sambirenteng, is it?
Sambirenteng, yes.
Sambirenteng. For our last few days here in Bali, we decided to head up to the northeast, Sambirenteng. It's about 2 hours away from Ubud, or just a little bit over, and it's the Gangyang festival. So the streets are all decorated, and the drive itself is actually amazing. You go past a gang and Kintamani forest, so absolutely enjoyable drive. And doesn't really, 2 hours isn't really too long, and it's not the usual Bali traffic kind of a drive. It's like out through like winding roads, going through the Kintamani forest, plenty to view, really nice. Now, this is Alamanda Dive Resort. This is where we were going. This side of Bali is really quiet, and I couldn't find many reviews on what it's actually like. So I just wanted to take a few videos myself and just kind of talk about my own personal experience, or our personal experience of what the place was like. Now, it's right on the ocean, and it's just off the coast is an actual natural reef that is kind of like protected. So as you can see here, the grounds are all like beautiful, and each of the bungalows, actually just looking there, that's where you can walk straight into dive. But as I was saying, each one of these bungalows is like private and like pretty much self-contained. So it's really awesome for like a getaway, like a little family thing, or just to get away with a loved one. And because they're fairly far away from all the other bungalows, it's completely quiet at night. It's absolutely lovely. And also this side of Bali is completely unlike the other side of Bali, like Kuta and that kind of thing. It's more like Europeans, and yeah, so there's like less English spoken, and there's definitely no hustle and bustle, except with the Gangyang festival. There was a little bit of noise on the first night, but in the bathrooms, like if you came here with your own diving gear, you can actually go in through the back door and wash out your wetsuit, your dive gear and all that sort of thing. We were just here to relax, so obviously I had to chuck a handstand, and we can go down and check out to the rest of the place. So this is where all of the meals are served. Breakfast is included, and as far as the menu is concerned, I wouldn't say it's awesome, but they've got like a good selection of food, so pretty much all tastes. Now, that's not bad, huh? Well, after being here for 3 days, and every day there's been a strong current or wind, or quite a bit of wind actually, and the wind has been onshore, where normally you'll have like Kintamani mountains up behind me over there to block the offshore wind. So that's usually why the mornings are quite good here. But it's been onshore winds and strong currents, and yeah, I haven't recommended going for a dive, especially by yourself. So yeah, we're checking out today, 12 o'clock, but 7:30 is apparently prime time. So I've ducked down, hired some gear, some snorkeling gear, 100,000 rupiah for the whole day. Obviously it'll only be a couple of hours for me, but today's the day. The water is looking calm. There's bugger all current, so we're gonna have an explore out into the waters. So that's reception, you can see there behind me. That's the dive centre. You literally just walk up there, 100,000 rupiah, add that onto your room. You can pay for that at checkout, and then this is where you go. Literally just walk straight in here, straight into the waves, into the ocean. So booties are recommended for any diving here, but I didn't touch any coral or even put my feet on the ground at all. So I don't think it really matters too much. But the cool thing is there's like this rope that you can just pull yourself straight out, and heaps of like the really good diving is actually quite near to this rope. So if there's no current, you can just kind of like dive down, have a bit of a look, cruise along the rope, go a little bit more. It's quite it's quite relaxing and quite shallow. As you can see in a minute, I'll get out to like the end of the rope, and I suppose at the deepest parts it's probably 5 or 6 meters, but most of it, as you can see here, is in like 2 or 3 meters of water. So you don't really even need too much of of a lung capacity to dive down and really be able to enjoy the reef. I've heard when there's a bit of a current, if you're desperate for a dive, you can just kind of hang on to the rope. But this is that buoy that I was telling you about. It's kind of tethered in like 3 places, so it holds itself there. And like quite a few fish get around there. But I think about here, it was about 5-ish kind of meters deep. Like you get a good dive and you can come right, down to the bottom. The water is absolutely amazing, clear as. I suppose when there's a bit of a current, it wouldn't be quite so pristine. But these little tiny, like little bluefish are just like amazing just to like watch them swimming in and out between like the coral and rock formations and that sort of stuff. So I had like a lot of time I spent quite a lot of time just like watching like the small fish just swimming in and out of the coral. As well as that, the coral is quite amazing. There's a few starfish around. I think I've got one, but I was lucky enough to find a sea crate. These are like quite venomous, but they're very like tame. They're really not tame, but they're unknown to really bite people. But what's actually cool is I got to see this one hunting, and they actually hunt for eels. So to see one actually like looking and foraging was quite special. It did give me a little bit of a scare when I first came across it, and you can see it was in about 3 meters of water, so nice easy little dive down to get nice and close. But what I really liked, here's one of those starfish. What I really had a great time doing was actually just like finding fish and then chasing them along the bottom, just like getting a nice breath. And then it was kind of like the fish would sort of lead into like the cool places, like around the side of like coral, and they'd sort of, around the different formations and that kind of thing. And then you see other little fish just swimming in and out of the bits and pieces. So even though I was just diving by myself and probably only like 50 to 100 meters off the shore, it is pretty decent diving. And I would say the visibility, well, you can kind of see it's probably a little bit better than what you can see in the GoPro. But I think you could see about 6-7 meters fairly easy. Like even in the deepest spots, you could see the bottom, and so you knew what you were diving down to. These parts were amazing. This wasn't too far off the end. Yeah, you can see the rope coming down from that buoy. You can kind of like swim through between like the sort of drop-offs in the rock. So that was pretty cool. And then this me just chasing cool looking fish around. Yeah, look at that. In some spots there was like really like, I don't even know what these fish are called, but like it was just so cool to be able to just walk off and get this kind of diving where normally you'd actually have to get oxygen or go out on a boat or anything like this. This is like just walking off the shore. So it felt pretty special. And the fact that I hadn't actually got to dive in the first few days because there was just too much current and the wind was onshore rather than offshore and blocked by Kintamani was, pretty cool. But then once you're done, you just grab the rope and pull yourself back in. You can just like speed walk it straight back in. Look at me floundering around. Some of the rocks are a little bit slippery, so be careful of that when you're coming back in. But aside from that, it's very easy just to like pull yourself back in. And that was pretty much my experience. And also, if you like love your diving, you can dive just off the beach, or they even do dives directly off where you walk in.